OK, but first, some breaking transfer news for you. Manchester United's second bid for Bryan Mbeumo has been rejected by Brentford. The bid was worth £62.5 million, which is what they paid Wolves for Matheus Cunha. We understand Brentford want at least £65 million for the forward. Talks between the clubs are continuing. The player, though, does want to join United. More info as we get it right here on Sky Sports News. Also more information on skysports.com on our live transfer blog.
Manchester United fans starting to think, is Cunha going to be the only player we get? We spoke a bit about Mbeumo. Still, you think he's probably favouring that move to Old Trafford. Anything else for Manchester United fans, Doms?
I mean, I don't think Cunha and Mbeumo will be the only signings that come into United. There are other priority positions that they are looking at strengthening United. Maybe a midfielder, and there's all this talk about interest in various goalkeepers, depending on what happens with Andre Onana. But again, I mentioned again, it is early in the window, and United got their first one over the line really, really quickly in Cunha, and are continuing talks to get the Mbeumo one over the line. I think once those two are done, it's more or less the budget I think that United had for this transfer window, and then any other deals that they want to do will likely be dependent. There are, of course, clever ways that you can do financial deals, but likely they would want to start offloading players as well from that squad and trying to recoup some money, particularly in the likes of Alejandro Garnacho and Marcus Rashford, who would, of course, represent pure profit in their PSR books. And then the likes of Jadon Sancho and Anthony, who they would want to sell and would make, no doubt, an absolutely humongous loss on. But, you know, when I talk about Manchester United and the mistakes that, shall we say, that they have made in the last few years, particularly in recruitment, sometimes it's down to a club just to take the hit sometimes. And if you look back at what happened with Arsenal when Mikel Arteta took over, they were languishing in 8th position in his first season. It wasn't looking great. There were huge doubts about whether Mikel Arteta was the right man to be in charge of Arsenal. But he decided then that despite this new contract that Aubameyang had been given and various other players, he said, at some point, we've got to take the hit because we're not going to be able to move forward otherwise. And that's exactly what they've done. And they've been allowed to build under Arteta to the point where in the last 3 seasons, yes, I know rival fans will take the mick by saying they're second again. But the fact that they are challenging means that they must have done something right. So from Manchester United's perspective, after having the season that they've just had, Ruben Amorim, despite thinking he didn't want to come mid-season, probably the best thing he did, because he's seen firsthand how really bad it is at United and which players he's going to be able to trust going forward. And so that, I think, will be the priority after Mbeumo comes in, to see if they can start getting money for some of these players that Ruben Amorim doesn't want in his squad, so that he can then fund other transfers for the remainder of the window.
Well, there could be players going out, Dan. You know, the likes of Marcus Rashford's been linked with Barcelona, Jadon Sancho being linked with Juventus. There's a lot of talk about Alejandro Garnacho as well, maybe a move to Chelsea. How important is it that Manchester United get players like that off the books?
Yeah, I think it is obviously really important. They need to sell before they can keep making more moves in the market. And I think it does look like Rashford, Sancho and Garnacho, as you say, are, 3 players who, for different reasons, are going to leave this summer. It looks like I like Garnacho for what it's worth. I think he's got good potential, but it doesn't look like he's got a working relationship going forward with Amorim, does it? Rashford, I think, his kind of time at United has just kind of come to an end. It feels like he's sort of trying to rebrand himself as a number 9 to perhaps attract Barca's interest, because obviously they've now got Williams and Yamal, so they're pretty well stocked in Rashford's position out wide. I'm not sure we have enough evidence to suggest that Rashford, is an elite number 9, but that's certainly what he's pushing. And then Sancho, it just hasn't worked, has it? Again, you expect him to go. I mean, I think coming back to, I guess, Newcastle and their pursuit of Elanga, who apparently is valued at 45 million. I don't know what he left United for.
Not anywhere near that.
It feels like United are going to have to sell all these guys for a lot less money than Forest are going to get for a guy they got from United on the cheap. So it just goes to show kind of how careers seem to deteriorate at United and how they've really messed up so much of their business over the last few seasons.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? Football's a fascinating thing, isn't it? The way that plays, but the old argument is, you look at any top player, they always had a couple of rejections on the way up to the top, and I think sometimes these sort of moments of adversity sometimes bring the best out of some players.
Look, if you're tuning in a little bit late, David Ornstein in the last few minutes basically saying that Man United's second bid has been rejected. First bid was 45 million plus 10, rejected. Second bid, 55 million plus 7.5, rejected. So where are we at? I'm not as worried as some people are, and I'm not as... There is a part of me that's going to take the piss out of Man United, and I think we all should take the piss out of Man United, but I'm not that worried, because I think that what happens, and this is the big lesson here, is don't listen to shit. Basically, don't listen to shit. There are so many people that are trying to get the drop on this. And my advice is, having done this for a very long time, you are not going to be the new Ornstein or Romano. You're not. And know how they work. They have amazing contacts. They work ridiculously hard. You are not going to guess your way to that level. And unfortunately, every summer, we get people who don't have those contacts, never will, who try and guess their way to the exclusive. They start predicting what the deal's going to be, when it's going to be. Here we go. Look, leave it to Romano and Ornstein if you want a sane life, because I had so many people this week basically saying the deal's done. We've had so many people this week saying it's going to be here we go today, tomorrow, or the day after. And the reality is, tonight, Friday night, we are nowhere near Mbeumo any closer than we were 4 weeks ago. We're not, because we haven't got Brentford to agree with what they want. So that's where we are about it. He will sign for Manchester United. The deal will happen. I'm very, very confident. But we're just not giving Brentford what they want. And they will get what they want. So...
Bryan Mbeumo continues to face resistance as their second bid has been rejected by Brentford. The latest offer, understood to be just under £60 million, was immediately turned down, with Brentford holding firm on their £65 million plus valuation. Despite the setback, United remain determined. Mbeumo has made it clear to his representatives that he wants the move to Old Trafford, with personal terms already agreed in principle. The player is pushing from his side, hopeful that an agreement can be found soon. Talks remain ongoing between the clubs, and United are expected to return with a fresh bid. Ruben Amorim considers Mbeumo a top priority for his new attacking setup, and Manchester United are now preparing their next move as the saga enters a crucial stage.